Without the humble field watch, you and I wouldn't be wearing watches today. But what makes a field watch, and how do I know if I already own one? Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Yes, without field watches from World War II. Yes, unfortunately, we're going to talk about war. That made it a necessity to have a watch on your wrist. During World War I, no one wore a watch. To tell the time, you used a pocket watch that was in your pocket. But in the heat of the battle and in the trenches, opening your pocket and pulling out your watch all the time took a lot of faffing about. And what soldiers started doing was converting their pocket watches to ones that could be worn around the wrist. And by World War II, every serviceman and woman was supplied with a wristwatch. It came with the boots. So we know where the inception was, but what makes a field watch a field watch? This watch has to be durable, out in the field. So a big specification at the time in World War II was that the watch had to be durable. It also had to be waterproof, so a movement that was durable in a watertight case. This watch is not a fashion accessory, and it is not made for you to look good. Usually the watches had a matte black dial with bold white numerals and indices. There was nothing special with the indices or numerals either. They were usually printed on and be seen in the dark. So the watch has to be highly durable, highly legible and reliable. And watertight! The watches also had fixed spring bars which added to the durability, and usually these watches were worn with a fabric strap, but their sole purpose was to tell you the time. That's it! Back in the 1940s, 50s and 60s, those mechanical field watches would have been trusted with a lot of soldiers' lives. Each platoon's generals, commanders, synchronizing their watches, using the gears, the cogs, the springs of these mechanical marvels. Now in 2023, the field watch for the modern soldier is no longer a mechanical one, that's for sure. You'd have to say 20, 30, 40, 50 times more durable than a mechanical watch. It's clear and legible, and you can see it in the dark. We are of course talking about a G-Shock. Yes, the Casio G-Shock is the field watch for the modern soldier. Watches tend to not be issued anymore. They just give out recommendations. And the Casio G-Shock is very high on the list, especially the ones that are solar powered. They'll never fail on you in the heat of the battle. Now, even though I love G-Shocks, I'm still a purist at heart, and if I could only own one watch in my whole entire collection, it would be a mechanical field watch. To be specific, my beautiful Vertex M100, and it encapsulates everything about a field watch I love. Watertight, durable case, durable movement, hugely legible dial that has been refined not to look fashionably snazzier, but refined to make it even more legible using the superluminova blocks. This is a manual wind only watch, and when I wind this puppy in the morning, it does make me think of the old days. We do take life for granted, and even though this M100 has never been on a battlefield and never will do, seeing as I own it, it makes me think of all the men and women that lost their lives fighting for our countries. When there weren't computers, when there weren't PlayStations, they relied on these machines in not only life, but in strategic battle plans.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
So you know what makes a field watch. I want to show you the rest of the watches I own that I class as field watches. And after I'm done, I want you to look over your collection and tell me how many field watches you own. Because all these watches I'm showing you now are mega legible. They don't have any fancy patterns on the dial. They all have big grippy crowns. With a big thank you to Jonathan at the Antiques Watch Company, he sent me an actual issued Hamilton watch from the early 80s. It's only 34 millimeters. We've got a sterile dial, so issued Hamilton watches didn't show off their logo, but look how clear and legible this is. You can see the radioactive symbol. The loom was radium, so it was a bit toxic, but 40 years on, this watch still looks relevant today. In fact, it's so relevant, the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical was inspired by the watch I've just shown you. Yes, it may be a more contemporary size in 38 millimeters, but it's got that bead blasted look, ready for action. And what you'll start to find out is that field watches tend to be timeless, so they'll go with any dress code in any decade for the next 50, 60 years. They're not trend-setting watches, they're proper watches. Take my CWC G10. This watch was issued to the British Armed Forces, was issued in their thousands. Field watches that were made for the British Army tend to have a minute railroad track along the outside of the dial. American issued watches just had the markers. But again, highly legible, very simple, but so desirable to me and many of you. The Rolex Explorer, yes, it's a luxury watch, but it is based on the 1016. That was a commemoration about a mountain climb. Even though, yes, we do have white gold indices, and the overall watch, case and bracelet does feel like jewelry, it is the perfect looking field watch, isn't it? That puppy's not going to let you down. Also, I've got to give a big shout out to my Seiko 5 Landshark. This watch is an absolute beast, highly legible, pop out your face handset, 200 meters of water resistance, and you get a twisty compass bezel. Now, in my view, this next one is another field watch, and it has to be a big thanks to a certain Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a reissue of the H558, the first Annie Digi dive watch. Arnie bought it for himself and worn it in a number of military-esque movies like Commando and Predator. He wasn't diving with this dive watch, he was in the field. Jungle. The SNJ025 is solar powered, fully watertight, very legible, and I would class this as a field watch, as well as a diver. The other Seiko I own that is a diver and a field watch is my Willard SPB153. This is based on the Seiko 6105 that a lot of the US Armed Forces were buying in POWs because the watches they were issued were falling apart and dying on them. These guys weren't diving in them, they were in the jungle. Harsh weathers. Look how legible it is. Easy to grip crown. I would again class this as a crossover field watch. So there we go, that's the field watch for you. I bet you've got at least 1 to 2 watches that you would class as a field watch. And if push comes to shove, if you could only own one watch in the collection that you have, I bet you almost 99.9% of the time it wouldn't be a dress watch. Field watches will always be around because they are beautiful, timeless instruments, highly legible, and that's good for my aging eyes. But a lot of us love that historical link with the mechanical movement to, let's face it, a simpler time. That's why if I could only own one watch, it would be a hand-wound mechanical one. Embrace the cogs and wheels. Thank you for watching till the end. You are good, aren't you? If I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you check this puppy out? This is, I mean, this is good. This is sweet. Go on, click it. Click it.